I should never have trusted him, Eo whispered, her voice trembling as she stared into the vast gorge below. The wind howled through the great rift valley, carrying with it the scent of earth and despair. Somewhere far below, hidden by the mist and shadows, lay her brother Kendi's broken body. Whether he had fallen or been pushed, Eo could not be sure. But she knew one thing: Jabari had lied, and she was next. The village of Kamui was perched on the edge of the Great Rift Valley, a place of both beauty and fear. The valley stretched for miles, its cliffs jagged and foreboding, its forests thick and impenetrable. The elders spoke of it with reverence, calling it the spine of the earth, a place where the gods had split the land to remind humans of their insignificance. For Eo, the valley was a constant backdrop to her life. She had grown up listening to the stories of its dangers and mysteries. The village thrived on its edge, sustained by fertile land, a steady river, and the strength of its people. Eo's father, Damo, was a weaver, known throughout the region for his intricate patterns that told the stories of their people. Her mother had passed when she was young, leaving Damo to raise Eo and her older brother, Kendi. Kendi was everything Eo admired: strong, brave, and deeply loyal to their family and traditions. He was the best hunter in the village, his skill with a bow unmatched. Eo often followed him to the edge of the rift, where he taught her how to track animals, set traps, and read the land. He was her protector, her guide, and her closest friend. But Kendi's protection couldn't shield her from everything. 2 years before Kendi's death, a stranger arrived in Kamui. His name was Jabari, a tall, broad-shouldered man with eyes that seemed to pierce through you. He said he came from the southern plains, where drought had driven him from his homeland. He carried little, a spear, a leather pouch, and a bird-shaped charm that hung from his neck. At first, the villagers were cautious. Outsiders were rare, and trust was not given lightly. But Jabari quickly proved his worth. He was strong, skilled, and quick to lend a hand. Whether it was building huts, harvesting crops, or repairing tools, he seemed to know how to do everything. Eo, like many in the village, was drawn to him. But for her, the attraction ran deeper. It started with small moments. A lingering glance during a village celebration. A shared laugh by the river. Jabari had a way of making Eo feel seen, as if she were the only person in the world. Despite Kendi's warnings, Eo allowed herself to be drawn closer. "There's something off about him," Kendi had said. "He's too perfect. No one's that good at everything. Watch yourself, Eo." But she didn't listen. Jabari's charm was like the pull of the rift itself, dangerous, but impossible to resist. They began meeting in secret, away from the prying eyes of the village. By the river, under the shade of ancient trees, they shared their dreams. Jabari spoke of a life beyond the valley, a place where they could be free from the constraints of tradition and expectation. "I want us to be free, Eo," he said one night, his voice low and earnest. "Free to live our own lives together." Eo's heart swelled at his words. She didn't know how, but she believed him. She wanted to believe him. One evening, Jabari came to her with a proposal. "Let's leave," he said, his eyes blazing with urgency. "We can cross the rift. I know a way. On the other side, there's a land where we can start fresh." Eo hesitated. The thought of leaving her father, her brother, and the only life she had ever known filled her with fear. But Jabari's vision of freedom was intoxicating. Against her better judgment, she agreed. They planned to leave on the night of the new moon, when darkness would hide their escape. Eo told no one, not even Kendi. She couldn't bear the thought of his disappointment or his anger. The night was silent as Eo crept out of her family's hut, her heart pounding. She met Jabari at the edge of the village, where he stood waiting with his spear and a small bag slung over his shoulder. "We'll be across by dawn," he promised, taking her hand. But as they approached the rift, a figure stepped out of the shadows. "Eo." It was Kendi. "What do you think you're doing?" he demanded, his voice cold and sharp. His eyes flicked between Ao and Jabari, his jaw clenched. "We're leaving," Jabari said, his tone calm but firm. "You can't stop us." Kendi's hand went to the knife at his belt. "Try me." Jabari smirked, a dangerous glint in his eyes. "I was hoping you'd say that." The fight was sudden and brutal. Kendi lunged, his blade slashing through the air, but Jabari was quicker. He dodged the attack and struck back with his spear. Ao screamed as the two men grappled, their movements a blur in the moonlight. Then came the scream, a sound that would haunt Ao for the rest of her life. Kendi lost his footing and fell backward, his arms flailing as he tumbled into the void. His body disappeared into the darkness below, swallowed by the rift. For a moment, there was silence. Jabari turned to Ao, his face unreadable. "He attacked me," he said, his voice calm. "It was an accident." But Ao saw the truth in his eyes. Terror and rage coursed through her as she backed away. "You killed him," she whispered. Jabari reached for her, but she pulled away. "Ao, listen to me. We have to go now." "No," she said, her voice trembling. "You did this." Jabari grabbed her arm, his grip like iron. "Enough. You think you can go back after this? You're with me now?" But Ao wasn't the helpless girl he thought she was. With a surge of strength born from desperation, she wrenched free and ran. The ground was uneven beneath her feet, the wind howling in her ears, but she didn't stop until she was back in the village, pounding on her father's door. The village was thrown into chaos when Ao told them what had happened. A search party found Kendi's body at the bottom of the rift, broken but still clutching his knife. Jabari was nowhere to be found. Grief consumed the village, and suspicion fell on Ao. Some believed her story, but others whispered that she had been complicit. Her father stood by her, his heartbreak sharpening into a protective rage. Months passed, but the wound in Ao's heart did not heal. She often stood at the edge of the rift, staring into its depths, consumed by guilt and anger. One day, a traveler arrived in Kamui with news. A man matching Jabari's description had been seen in a distant village, living under a new name. Ao knew she couldn't let him escape justice. With her father's blessing, she set out to find him. The journey was long and perilous, taking her through dense forests, across wide rivers, and over treacherous terrain. Along the way, she honed her skills, driven by the memory of her brother and the weight of her mission. When she finally found Jabari, he was living as a respected member of a new community, his crimes hidden beneath a mask of charm. Ao confronted him in front of the village, her voice steady but filled with fury. "You thought you could escape what you did, but the truth always finds a way." Jabari tried to deny it, but Ao's words struck a chord with the villagers. They turned against him, and justice was swift. When Ao returned to Kamui, she was forever changed. She had avenged her brother, but the scars of betrayal and loss remained. She found solace in the strength of her community and the memories of those she had loved. And though the Rift Valley remained as vast and mysterious as ever, Ao no longer feared its shadows. She had faced the abyss and emerged stronger. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe and on the notification button to get more interesting stories.